Clerk will call the roll.
Glenn Whitley, County Judge.
Here.
Roy Charles Brooks, Commissioner Precinct 1.
Present.
Andy H. Wynn, Commissioner Precinct 2.
Here.
Gary Fickus, Commissioner Precinct 3.
Here.
J.D. Johnson, Commissioner Precinct 4.
Here.
Constitutes a quorum.
Our invocation this morning will be delivered by Reverend Barrett Pratt from Arbor Lawn United Methodist Church, Fort Worth. Thank you for coming down. After the invocation, please remain standing for our pledges.
Let us pray. Our good and gracious God, you are indeed the giver of all good gifts. And we come together this day to seek your wisdom and guidance. Be with us in our deliberations. Help us to be wise in the decisions we make for the good of all of those who have placed their trust and confidence in our leadership. Give us insight to lead with integrity, that our decisions may reflect what is right and good. Keep us from short-sightedness and pettiness. Help us to make the decisions that strive to be for the good of all, and guard us from blind self-interest. And finally, dear God, grant us the humility to always seek your will in all that we do and say. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Manius?
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the Court, we do not have any announcements as it relates to the agenda. However, we'd like to make an announcement that we're very proud of, and I'm going to ask Mr. Tenasia to come up and talk a little bit about our public health lab. Well, maybe. So I'm going to talk about that. He's new. Is he still under probation?
Are we having a leadership problem?
It sure sounds that way.
No, I think we have a communication problem. No.
Well, I want to introduce Dr. Guy Dixon, who is head of our labs. And as you know, our labs do more than just diagnose or evaluate diseases and things like that. We do a lot of different things with the agricultural community, with the water community, and it's a very extensive operation. And we continually get inspected. And as we know, with some inspections or a lot of inspections, that's something where that defects are noted, and we correct those. Well, and Guy, if you come up, I believe that it's now 20-some-odd years, and we've received another inspection, and we didn't have any problems at all. We passed at 100%, something that very, very, very few labs in the state of Texas, within the United States, actually accomplish. And it just goes to talk about the professionalism that we have in the operation of our labs. And I'd ask Dr. Dixon to go ahead and introduce his people and have some comments.
Good morning. Let me introduce our staff, and if you would, you can just, if you want to come up or you can stand.
I think you're going to get them to stand. I don't think they're moving.
Over here to your left, you can see it's Dr. R.P. Nielsen. He is over our Biotourism and Emerging Agents section supervisor. Next to RP is Jeanette Darden, and she is over our Clinical Microbiology section. And Becky McMath is our Laboratory Response Coordinator, and she also supervises the Biotourism Response section. Now, just to kind of give you a little background here, I've been here, as GK mentioned, 21 years, and we have not had a zero deficiency inspection before. Obviously, it had always been our hope and our plan to get there. But the group from Centers for Medicaid and Medicare Services were in, inspectors were in 2 weeks ago, and we got zero deficiencies on our clinical laboratory inspection. So this is a team effort. There are a lot of laboratory people that are not here this morning, but I want to recognize the effort of all the people in the laboratory and the supervisors because they have made this happen. So it's taken us a while, but we've gotten there. And over the years, we have developed a very mature quality assurance program, and of course, the inspection results reflects that. And not only did we have one inspection 2 weeks ago, but we had two. And we had the group in from the NELAC Institute, Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, and we got a single deficiency. Dr. Po Chang was the lead inspector, and he said in his 8 years of inspecting environmental laboratories in the state of Texas, he has never given one deficiency in an environmental laboratory before. So in the same week, we had two outstanding
And
inspection
he's one of
reports.
those guys that doesn't believe in perfect scores, right?
Yes, yes, sir. Yeah, it's not going to happen on the environmental side. So, but anyway, I appreciate you giving us the opportunity to recognize the efforts of our laboratory staff and team, and thank you.
Well, thank you for your hard work. Okay, Vinny, you can come up. We've embarrassed you profusely by you not being here. That's okay. We'll get you up here a little bit later on, and we'll see if we can't work you over at that point in time. Court members, you have before you the minutes of our regular meeting of September the 30th.
Move approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Commissioner Fickus, you're not on. Motion passes unanimously. We have a couple of we have a proclamation, and then we have employee recognition. Commissioner Johnson, I believe you have a proclamation.
I do have a proclamation, National 4-H Week. If you would read that into the record, please.
Whereas the 4-H Youth Development Program of the Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service provides learning experiences for the whole child, including head, heart, hands, and health, as well as helping youth acquire knowledge and develop life skills which enable them to fulfill their potential. And whereas National 4-H Week celebrates the beginning of a new 4-H year and includes activities such as Agricultural Awareness Day, in which youth learn the importance of agriculture in their daily lives, National Youth Service Day, which introduces youth to aerospace engineering as they design and construct rockets, and One Day 4-H, in which youth dedicate a day of service to their communities. And whereas a vital component of the program is the Youth-Adult Partnership, provided through hundreds of adult volunteers who generously dedicate their time, talents, and resources to the youth in Tarrant County. And whereas honoring the motto, to make the best better, the members continue to learn, develop leadership skills, and serve others as they grow into self-directed, productive adults. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the Commissioners Court of Tarrant County, do hereby proclaim October 5th through 11th, 2014, as National 4-H Week in Tarrant County. In witness thereof, we have hereunto set our hands and caused the seal of Tarrant County to be affixed this 7th day of October 2014.
I move for its approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
And we have Cindy Brandt with 4-H Youth Development in the County Extension Agent's office. If you would meet me down at the podium, please. All right, and I think you have someone you want to introduce, so please thank you for being here.
We thank you very much for this opportunity, and we want to thank you for your support throughout the year of all the Tarrant County youth. We have with us this morning Amanda Roach, who is a longtime 4-H member, and she wants to share some of the experiences and how your support has made a big impact. Thank you. Amanda?
Good morning, Amanda.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Good morning, Amanda.
My name is Amanda Roach. I am 16 years old, and I am an 11-year 4-H'er. I started 4-H going with my older sister when I was yay big to all the 4-H meetings, and I remember when I was little watching her come home with all these awards and ribbons and prizes, and I thought to myself, I can't wait for the day that I'm old enough to be able to get that stuff. But as I got older, I realized that 4-H and life in general is not about the prizes and awards you get. It's more about what you learn and who you impact. In my 4-H career, I have learned leadership, public speaking, consumer decision-making, poultry, gardening, and even theater arts and sewing, which I now teach to others. I love attending classes through 4-H, and I love getting to learn things from other people and teach things I've learned to other people, because I'm constantly making my best better. Thank you all for your continued support of 4-H. I know I wouldn't be the person I am today without it, and it has been the best blessing I've ever had in my life.
You did very good. Thank you, Amanda, for being here. Very, very impressive. Very impressive. Commissioner Fickus, do you want to talk a little bit about your how successful your event was?
Well, thank you. I would like to just thank a few people, and actually quite a few people. But we had our Empowering Seniors event on Friday, and it was just a very good event. We know we had about at least 1,800 seniors that came through, and we're going to get a final count here in the next couple days. We had 158 vendors. We had 10 food booths. We had 15 health screenings. We had 18 workshop speakers. We had over 100 volunteers. We had a variety of entertainment. We had bingo, door prizes, and an extremely successful event. And I want to thank everyone who attended, and especially those who volunteered. We had a number of county employees, and of course our Precinct 3 maintenance team and our office, and we couldn't have done this without all of their help. So it was a great event, and I want to thank Judge Whitley and Commissioner Johnson for coming out, and everyone else who also made it, our elected officials. So it was a great event. Thank you. Thank you all.
And it was a great weekend for football, but it was a great weekend for TCU. They did a fantastic, that was just a fantastic game. Yeah. Yes, sir.
You be within a throwing range.
I think y'all didn't play, so why should you?
We didn't lose.
Well, that's better than a lot of us can say.
Had LSU played Texas State, you might have another one. But I'd like to talk about United Way this morning, if I could, since we have a large crowd. You raised the bar last week and challenged departments. How many little hamburger sliders did y'all sell?
We sold about 250. We sold about $1,600 worth.
We have decided to create a team, an expansion from last year's joint venture between budget, risk, and purchasing. It's basically admin third floor against the world, which consists of HR, budget, and risk, and purchasing, except payroll. I understand that I know Commissioner Brooks there has a little silver dollar pancake breakfast planned. Commissioner Wynn has something. Commissioner Fickus, I'm sure, is probably doing barbecue, and Commissioner Johnson, the Trinity River fish fry, which is legendary.
Trying to imply that he gets those fish out of the Trinity River?
That's what he said.
Our team,
trying to discourage you. You're really getting into a little smack there.
Our team is, we have a roadkill chili and last year's free-tool pie extravaganza planned for October 21. Last year's chili pie means we just used the same recipe last year we used again.
Yeah, right.
We're selling ornaments again. On the 27th of October, we have Taco Tuesday. You big departments, IT, you, Wilder, Taxman, D, if you're out there in camera land. Third floor admin is in it to win it. Good luck.
That sounded to me like a $500 commercial.
GK, have you briefed our
Jack,
new public
does
health
it al-
director?
Does it always take you to get multiple departments together to create any kind of chance
I think
to
we need
be-
to now district clerk, tax office, county clerk. I think we're just going to have to take that back on, Mr.
Yeah, we are.
Jack. We're going to have to.
Yeah, maybe we should all join together.
It's per capita, baby. It's per capita. Well, just, y'all figure it out, but, there's going to be some, we'll have a winner's day, and then we'll see what all the losers get to do for us.
Who won it? Who won it last year? Who won this last year?
Will Commissioner Wynn be by?
No, I'm not talking about the 508. Countywide, who won this thing last year?
The county won last year.
Oh, it was the county administrator's office that won it.
You better bring Benny up to speed on what's going on here.
I already took notes about the Texas roadkill chili.
Now, the public health inspector is going to come visit your booth. Let me just say that last week I had public health. We got our little certificate that we had to get, and we did everything we needed to do. So we're all right. We're just gonna.
Well, in the past 2 years, I have been giving respect to my elders, but since they have been giving me a lot of difficulty, so I'm going to up my game this year. On November 7th, all of you and all your friends and family are invited to the Kennedale Maintenance Center, and I will personally marinate and barbecue Korean barbecue beef for you guys, okay? All right? These are really good stuff. You cannot get it anywhere else but that day. So Friday, November 7th, from 11:30 a.m. until 1 p.m. So come out and join us.
I would have the whippersnapper to know that November 7th is already spoken for, but that's okay. We'll dust you off in the morning.
In the morning?
So you're serving breakfast in the morning with your pancakes.
That's
and we'll
it.
serve lunch.
And the first of the year, we're going to all go back on our WOW diets as we eat our way through United Way in the latter quarter of the year. All right, I think we're getting the spirit here. Employee recognition. It's my opportunity to mispronounce all y'all's names.
He takes ample advantage.
I do. You know the drill. 5 years first. I'll call your name. Stand up. Remain standing until I get finished with that group, and then we'll show our appreciation, and we'll move on to the next group. So, beginning with our 5-year employees, Pamela Bogus, District Attorney's Office. Catherine Giles, Jury Administration. Ruben Gonzalez, Judge of the 432nd. Annette Higgins, Tax Office. Helen Hune, Justice of the Peace, Precinct 1. Lauren Jernigan, Criminal Court Support. James Luster, District Attorney's Office. Kimberly Martinez, District Attorney's Office. Tiffany, here we go. Nimala, District Clerk's Office. Abrel Panchaco, Facilities Management. Thank you. Brian Ralston, Tax Office. Carla Savage, Facility Management. I really want to thank you for your name. Just nice to come along with one. Leah Sparkman, District Clerk's Office, or Lee Sparkman. Leah. Shannon Thomas, Tax Office. William Wessel, County Administrator's Office. Amber Wills, the 432nd District Court. And these are our 5-year employees. Now for our 10-year employees, Eric Curtis, the Sheriff's Office. Diana Davis, Information Technology. Manuela Gonzalez, Public Health. Esther Group, Sheriff's Office. William Heinbaugh, Public Health. William Jones, Sheriff's Office. Cynthia Rangel, Human Services. Christy Rayanga? Okay, I would have known that. County Clerk's Office. Jason Ware, Sheriff's Office. And Tracy Willis, Public Health. Thank you all very much for being here. 10 years of service. "15 years. Robert Brown, Sheriff's Office. Kimberly Crisp, Sheriff's Office. Daniel Estrada, Sheriff's Office. Pamela Flo, Elections Office. Christina Glenn, Domestic Relations. Good morning. Cynthia Holloway, County Clerk's Office. Mary Pakowski, Public Health. Did I get pretty close? Yes, you did. I'm amazed. Cynthia Smith, Domestic Relations Office.
Got that one right.
Keep it up, Judge.
Kenda Turpin, Constable, Precinct 2. I saw that grin. Did I miss it? Jason Wheeler, Sheriff's Office. That's our 15-year employee. Let's give him a hand. Now for our 20-year employees, Paul Brinkley, Sheriff's Office. Clarence Carson, Sheriff's Office. Sharon Downs, Human Services. Donna Fenton, Tax Office. Gregory Green, Sheriff's Office. Richard Krager, Sheriff's Office. Milton Cursor, Sheriff's Office. John Leggett, Sheriff's Office. Cheryl Norrid, Justice of the Peace, Precinct 4. Laura Phillips, Domestic Relations Office. Edmund Talmont, Information Technology. These are our 20-year employees. Thank you all very, very much. Now for our 25-year plus employees, call and talk with them a little bit. Mike, it's a good thing you walk back in when you walk back in, since you're an A and you're at the 25-year. Mike Amador with Facilities Management. Mike started off working for the Convention Center, Tarrant County Convention Center, so that gives you an idea of how long he's been with us. Then went to Facilities Management as a supervisor over the custodial area, then as Assistant Director of Support Services, and then when Clarence retired, Mike took over as the Assistant Director of Building Services. When we talked about his more embarrassing moments, he did talk about training somebody to drive the Zamboni and them forgetting to put the auger, to turn the auger on. So that was a little embarrassing for him. He is one of 2 Zamboni drivers, and I guess really only one now left in the county. Again, going back to our days of owning the Convention Center. He also remembered the 1992 when the American team played the Davis Cup title. I hope not. When I asked him what he liked most was, again, the tasks and the events that he had a chance to be a part of, and then also the new buildings. When I asked him what had happened over the last 5 years, it kind of went back to the new buildings. He said, I've been very busy working on the crime lab that we built, the renovation of the medical examiner's office, and then working on the Lon Evans maximum security jail that we have. He said, I really enjoy the new position that I've got, and he said, I just love everything that I've had a chance to do in my time with Tarrant County. Mike, we appreciate very much for 25 years. Next is Patricia Cannon. Was she able to make it? There she is. Wasn't sure. They were busy down there at the court this morning. Started off with the district clerk, Tom Hughes. Worked the drug and gang unit. Worked for Judge Young for some years. Patricia was actually the first civil auxiliary court coordinator. So she had an opportunity to work with all of the civil judges. Then went to work for Judge Curry, and then once he retired, has continued to work with Judge McCoy. I've asked her before what her more memorable moments was, and she says, you know, most of those folks are still living. I can't talk about that stuff. She said, I do remember when there was the turnover from the Democrats to the Republicans, and that was a little interesting from that standpoint. When I asked her what she liked most, again, it was working with the public. The way the judges mentored the interns, I think this was specifically Judge Curry. He would have interns come into his court during the summer, and that was something that had always impressed her. You know, before she came to work for Tarrant County, and again, she's been working for us for 25 years, she worked in Eastland County for 5 years. When I asked her kind of what had happened over the last 5 years, she said, you know, we got a new judge, and that's worked out very well. It's worked out great. And at the same time, she says, I've got an 11-year-old daughter who thinks she's 21, and she's keeping me more than busy, along with everything else that's going on at the county. Patricia, we want to thank you very, very much for the 25 years of service you've given to Tarrant County and the 30 years of service you've given to public. Next is Judy Jones with the Public Health for 25 years. There's Judy. Started out at the height, she said, I remember I started out at the height of the flu season giving vaccines, still giving them to this day. She's now kind of works between LeGrand and Southwest and some of the other facilities, just is there where she's needed. She said the memorable moments was the flu shots, again, a lot of fun. She said, I'll see folks over and over from year to year, from little babies to senior adults. And she enjoys seeing a lot of these folks year after year. When I asked her what she liked most, she said, well, it's really the regularity of the work. It's not working the weekends, not having to work weekends or working nights. She said, I just love the job. I love seeing the people I have a chance to work with, but also the interaction with the public that she has. When I asked her what's kind of occurred over the last 5 years, she said, I have a 9-month-old granddaughter. She said, I also have an 11-year-old grandson. And she said, you know, kind of, we've begun to see a little bit of a slowdown in the immunizations. And we kind of talked about that. And, you know, a lot of times now, you get the flu shots or you get some of the stuff at Walgreens or CVS or, you know, the private insurance companies want you to go certain places. So there's been a little less activity, but still, she said, I enjoy very much what I do. And Judy, we want to thank you very much for the 25 years you've given us. Next is Sergeant Jim Mills. There he is. Started out in the Cold Springs area. In 99, he was promoted to sergeant. In 2006, he went over and worked in the narcotics division, and he's now working in the judicial services area. When asked about memorable moments, it was, again, some of y'all won't remember this, but there was a Y2K issue that we were everybody was concerned about as we were working through county government, and everybody kind of pulled together to make it a non-event in Tarrant County. And I made the comment, I think, a month or so ago, it was a non-event, not because there wasn't a lot of publicity and stuff flying around about it, but it was because of the way that our departments and our folks were ready for it and weren't caught off guard from that standpoint. He indicated he loves the stability of work with Tarrant County. He said the county has been very good to him, and it's been an honor to work with us. He said, gratefully, it has been a non-eventful last 5 years, and that it continues to be a great place to work and great people to work with. So we really want to thank you, Jim, for your 25 years of service to Tarrant County. Next is Vernon Pedigo with the Sheriff Booking Area, 25 years. Started out in Cold Springs in the low-risk area, working the midnight shift. Now is the corporal in the money room. When I asked him about the memorable moments, and I hear this a lot of times from folks who work in the jail. He said that first night, walking into the jail, he said, I definitely had a different feeling. And it's something, he said, you just don't know it until you experience it. He said, I enjoy the job security. I really enjoy the folks that I've had a chance to work with. He said it's been an honor and a real pleasure to serve the citizens of Tarrant County. Has 3 grandchildren. He has a boy that's 6, a little girl that's 2, and another little girl that's just over 1. And again, those are real blessings, and they take up a great deal of time and give a great deal of joy in that time that they take up. Vernon, thank you very much for the 25 years you've given the Tarrant County. Next is Sandra Peel Caldwell with the Sheriff's Office in the Administration area. There she is. Thank you very much for your 25 years. Started off, was hired by Don Carpenter. Worked in CID for a while, then was David Williams' executive secretary. Worked and moved over in the Green Bay area, and now is back downtown keeping Sheriff Anderson on the straight and narrow, taking care of him. Memorable moment was when Dee coming on board, moving into the new building over at the plaza. She indicated in the sheriff's office there's never a dull moment. We have great people over there, great people that are, really to be proud of. When I asked her what kind of it occurred over the last 5 years, she mentioned that, all our kids had grown up. She said, I actually came to work for Tarrant County. She had worked with Robin at, I guess, a hospital in Mansfield or in the Mansfield area, and Robin had deserted her and left and came to work for the county. And she said, when I began thinking, maybe I wanted to look someplace else, I called Robin, and Robin directed her to the sheriff's office. And she said, I came to work. People would ask me where I worked in the sheriff's office. For the first, for some of the first years, I kind of said I work in the water department. I was just fixing to say that. She said that was for about the first 12 years. She said then, when she said, the reason I'm still here is because Sheriff Anderson is here. And she said it has been a real joy, it's been a real pleasure, and a real honor to see the way that department has grown and the way that department's run and the pride that those folks take and that we all take in being a part of the sheriff's office. So, Sandra, we appreciate very much your efforts and your time the last 25 years with Tarrant County. Thank you very much. Next is Valerie Pennington with the District Clerk's Office. There's Valerie. Started out in the DA's office in the check and misdemeanor department, then went to the county clerk's office in '98. She's now an accounting collection specialist. She said, I love the stability of the county, the people that she has a chance to work with, but at the same time, the variety of the work, the different offices, and how friendly everyone is that she's had a chance to work with. Never thought she'd be here 25 years. When I asked her about the last 5, she said, I have 6 grandchildren, a 9-year-old girl, an 8-year-old. She's got a lot of girls. She's kind of, well, no, it's boys. I have all the girls. You have all the boys. She has an 8 and a 9-year-old girl, but then a 5-year-old boy, 3-year-old boy, 2-year-old boy, and a boy due in November. So she's almost caught up with me. I got 6. She's got 5. and she's, beginning to think about retirement. But I want to tell you, Valerie, that we appreciate the 25 years you've given us, and we hope you'll give us a few more. She is retiring in June of 2015. Thank you very much for your service. Next is Jeff Rogers, Juvenile Services. Jeff wasn't sure he was going to be able to make it. If you see Jeff, congratulate him. Thank him for his 25 years of service to Tarrant County. Next is Marilyn Spahn, and I also don't believe she was able to make it down. She's with Public Health. So, in fact, I've got here in the notes that she's actually in Austin today. So please congratulate Marilyn for her 25 years of service to Tarrant County. Next is Jermaine Woolridge with Elections, 25 years. Well, we're kind of on a run here. She's again with Elections. Thank her for her 25 years of service when you see her next, or make a point to give her a call. And the next is Lita Youngblood, CSCD, 25 years. Give her a call and thank her. So we kind of hit a dry spell there at the end. And then 30 years, Glenda Burkett, IT. Butcher. There she is. Now we're back on track. Started in IT as a receptionist, moved up into the programming area, the mainframe, now manages and makes sure all the programs are working on the old mainframe. Memorable moment was helping to move all the PCs and getting everything set up in the new Justice Center and the Corrections Center. Said there's never been a dull moment. Always fun. She loves the stability and the benefits that the county offers. The thing that first off, 6 grandchildren, because grandchildren are always important, and they're from 17 to 3. But what I really want to speak to is the fact of what she said, that she's really grateful that she came to the county and was able to use our tuition reimbursement to basically better herself and to be able to allow her as a single parent to better provide for her family. And I think it speaks not only, yes, we're excited at the fact that the county offers the tuition reimbursement, but I want to thank you for taking the time when it had to be difficult of raising the kids, of working and going to school and being that dedicated and just sticking to it and getting that done. Thank you very, very much for that. Thank you very, very much, Glenda, for your 30 years of service to Tarrant County. Next is Rich Dickerson with CSCD, 30 years. There's Rich. Started out in the probation office at the Restitution Center, has been at the boot camp, has been around all the subs, is now supervisor over victim services. When I asked what he liked most, he said it was really kind of working in the fields. And, and I think this is very telling of going into the neighborhoods and making sure that folks understand that I'm not there to just check up on you or to get you in trouble, but I'm there to help you. And I want to work with you to help you be successful. He highlighted a program that the county has, and that's an adoption assistant program, which allowed him and his wife to adopt a girl and then a boy. And hear me carefully, he adopted one in 2009, and I believe that was the little girl, and then the little boy in 2010, and they are brothers and sisters. So he really cared, and he really stayed with the mother who went through, a situation of giving up 2 children in a period of almost 1 year, a little over 1 year. So I want to applaud you for doing that, and he wanted to applaud the county because he said, quite honestly, without the county's assistance, I don't think we could have made that happen. He said over the years with CSCD, he's had several success stories. He said, I can recall one teenager who I interacted with, and in fact, he was back before the court, was about to be sent to prison, and the judge said, I'm going to give you one more chance. And Rich had an opportunity to work with him and continued to work with that young man. That young man graduated from high school, went to Texas on a football scholarship, graduated from college. And so again, I think it speaks to the caring and passionate care that our employees have, not just for the regular citizen who they may interact with on a day-to-day basis, but sometimes folks who it would be very easy to discount or to discard and just say, we're going to get you to the next step and then let you go from there. Rich, I want to thank you very, very much for the 30 years of service you've given to Tarrant County and the citizens of Tarrant County. Thank you. Next, Mary Hendricks from the Sheriff's Office, 30 years of service. Started out in the jails, been there the whole time. She said she actually started on Halloween Day, which I'm sure had to be an interesting experience, I'll just say. Spooks were out. There you go. When I asked her about memorable moments, she said, when I started, the female officers were all called matrons. And she can really remember moving to the new Belknap facility in 1985. She said, I love the people I've had a chance to work with, and I love the feeling of being able to help people. She said it's been quite an experience, and she said, I feel like I've grown an awful lot over the years in working with Tarrant County. And when I asked her about kind of what had occurred over the last 5 years, she said, I'm retiring. I'm retiring at the end of December. She said, over the last 5 years, we've started kind of downsizing a little bit, getting ready for retirement. Not sure exactly what we're going to do, but we look forward to finding out. And I will tell you, Mary, we appreciate very much the 30 years of service you've given to the citizens of Tarrant County. Last, Diane Bounds, County Clerk's Office, 35 years. Started out stamping documents with a hand stamper and microfilming in the County Clerk's Office. Has been in the marriage license area, is now working in deed records area. She said, I enjoy very much the people I've had a chance to work with over the years. She said, over the last 5 years, she said, I have my first grandchild, and she's almost 1 year old. Diane, thank you very, very much for the 35 years of service you've given to Tarrant County. 870 years of service we've just recognized and are represented here. That's a lot. And I think it speaks well of y'all as family members, of the Tarrant County family members, and of your dedication to public service, why each month we have so many people who we're recognizing for so many years of service. Refreshments 504C. Enjoy it. Again, thank you very much for your service to Tarrant County. Could I have a motion to receive and file the employee recognition?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to receive and file employee recognition. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. You have before you the consent agenda.
Move for the approval of consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Mr. Mahane, yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the Court, we have 4 additional items for you this morning. The first one, item 1, we're requesting that the Commissioners Court approve the Commissioners Court 2014 holiday season meeting schedule. We've attached that to your court communication. We're seeking approval.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I guess the only question that I've got, you've got a regular session scheduled for December the 23rd. That's
Right.
normally just a claims?
Yes.
think that's
That is just claims and,
Yes, it'll be limited to claims and personnel items only and emergency items that we may have to deal with.
Okay. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Members of the Court, on item number 2, we're requesting that the Commissioners Court approve and sign an order prohibiting outside burning in the unincorporated areas of the county for a period of 90 days from this date or until repealed by the court in accordance with state law.
I'm going to move for approval because every time we do this, it rains.
Yeah, get your rain slickers out.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Members of the Court, a week ago to item number 3, we're requesting that the court approve the blood bank consolidation project that has been approved by the Hospital District Board of Managers. This is a contract between the Hospital District and Hutcherson Construction.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Finally, members of the Court, on item number 4, we're requesting that the Commissioners Court approve and concur with actions of the Hospital District Board of Managers as it relates to the renal dialysis project construction contract and budget. This, once again, is a contract between the district and Hutcherson Construction.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Snyder?
Management Board is recommending the payment of the 2 claims this week to Farmers Insurance on its subrogation and Michael Westbrook for the amounts listed on your court communication.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Ms. Glenn?
Good morning.
Good morning.
We have 3 items for the court this morning. The first item, we're asking the court to receive and file the personnel agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
The second item, we're asking the court to approve plan changes for employee and retiree health care benefits in plan year 15. You have an attachment, an exhibit that we're going to talk about in a second, but just as a reminder, we came to you back in August of this year and presented to you plan changes for 2015. At that time, the court decided on rates for active employees as well as retirees. Since that time, the PEBC Governing Board, I believe, has had 1 additional meetings. And at that meeting, there was some discussion about additional plan design changes as well as areas where we believe we need to clarify some of our plan language. So that's what you see attached to your court communique in the form of Exhibit A. So if you go to Exhibit A, I'll walk through these fairly quickly. You have 4 items. The first item outlines changes in our deductibles and our out-of-pocket maximums for the PPO plan in 2015. And as a reminder, remember the deductibles in the PPO plan are those out-of-pocket expenses that employees are responsible for before the plan provides coverage. That being said, also remember on the PPO plan, most of our services, general services, office visits, prescription coverage are covered at co-pays, not deductibles. Okay? So against that backdrop, your first bullet, or first couple of bullets under item 1, the in-network deductible for single, or you may be more familiar with employee-only coverage, will increase from $300 to $500. That's an additional $200. In family coverage, for family coverage, the in-network deductible increases from $600 to $1,000. And typically with deductibles, usually we're looking at services like inpatient hospital stays or outpatient surgery. Again, office visits, urgent care visits, prescription drugs, those are covered by copays. And remember, under health care reform, preventative services are covered at 100%. So by and large, most services are not going to be subject to a deductible.
A clarification here.
Mhm.
Are we talking about pre-Medicare eligible retirees or everybody?
The PPO plan coverage is available to active employees and retirees under the age of 65, so pre-Medicare coverage or pre-Medicare age. That's correct, Commissioner. The third bullet, the deductible for out-of-network services increases from $500 to $1,000. And then the last two bullets discuss our out-of-pocket max. And what that is, the out-of-pocket max is the maximum that an employee or member will pay out-of-pocket before the plan covers at 100%. So for single coverage in 2015, that goes from $3,300 to $3,500. And for family coverage, that increases from $6,600 to $7,000. So that's the first item. The second item, actually this item was really pushed by our county judge, and the governing board was in agreement that we did and are asking to add to our benefit plan in 1/1 or effective 1/1/15 a benefit for hearing aid coverage. If this is approved, what this benefit will provide is up to a $1,000 per year benefit for hearing aid coverage for every 4 calendar years.
Every 4.
Every 4 calendar years.
That's just, you're going to buy one hearing device. Is that correct?
It's $1,000 per year.
You get half of your hearing fixed for one.
So for both ears, you'd get $2,000, a $2,000 allocation for
A year?
every 4
Every
years.
4 years.
Yes, sir.
You need to turn your hearing up.
So you can go get a hearing aid for both ears, correct?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Every 4 years.
Yes, sir. That's correct. That's correct.
That's the normal procedure.
Well, it's kind of, I don't quite read it that way.
But no, you're absolutely correct, Commissioner. That's every 4 years. Additionally, we will amend, with the court's approval, our medical plans to actually cover any medically necessary procedures that would be necessary to enable an individual to be able to wear a hearing aid device, and that's not something that we currently do. So that's, in a nutshell, item 2. Item 3, employees will receive information about a discount program that they'll be eligible to participate in. We'll talk at great length about this when we have our enrollment meetings later this year. But this discount will provide from anywhere from a 10 to a 25% discount on purchases such as teeth whitening, weight loss programs, Jennings Craig, Nutrisystem. And so, again, this will be just an additional benefit for our employees who'd like to take advantage of those discounts. The fourth and final item, we had some discussion at the board level about whether or not Medicaid coverage is coverage that can be used to opt out of our medical plan. As you recall, for many years now, our Commissioners Court had adopted a policy several years ago where all employees are required to, active employees are required to participate on one of our medical plans, and in lieu of that, they can opt out for comparable coverage. Medicaid is not considered comparable coverage, nor has it ever been considered comparable coverage. But apparently there have been a couple of issues, not here at Tarrant County, but with some of the other PEPC agencies where employees have been allowed to opt out with Medicaid coverage. So this is just to clarify that is not acceptable comparable coverage. The court should note in the last bullet that the state does provide a program. It's called the Texas Health Insurance Premium Payment Program. And so when employees come to us, and we've had a handful over the years who want to use Medicaid to opt out, we tell them you can't do that, okay, because that's not comparable coverage. But when they apply to this program, I think in all instances with the exception of one, when they've been approved, then the state will actually reimburse them their premiums that they pay for county coverage. So they're still on our plan, they have Medicaid coverage, and then they are reimbursed their premiums. So those are the additional plan design changes for 2015. We're asking for your approval. And again, as sort of my closing comment, we will be communicating with employees in the upcoming weeks, and we'll have benefit meetings, and we'll go through all of these items.
Move for approval. Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Our third and final item, we're asking for an approval of an out-of-class pay extension for public health. As explained in your court communique, our lab manager, Mr. Dixon, has assumed or did assume the duties of the associate director, Mr. Fabio, who passed earlier this year. So the court has granted one extension. Public health is requesting an additional extension. If granted, it will take them through January. And of course, if the extension won't go through January, if they fill the position before then. The fiscal impact is estimated to be approximately $1,600, including fringe benefits, to the Public Health Fund.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Here comes the funny boy. The funny bunny.
See, he's got his purple tie on. Even he's a little TCU-ish today.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We have two items for your consideration this morning. Our first item is a bid award recommendation for bid 2014-168. This is a bid for the purchase of custom seating and courtroom tables for the new civil courts building. We are recommending award of Section 2, which is the tables only on a per unit price basis to DWI Enterprises. We're also recommending rejection of Sections 1 and 3, which are all the benches, and asking for permission to rebid with revised specifications. The vendors that responded to Sections 1 and 3 asked for a 50% down payment, and Mr. Phillips basically doesn't feel comfortable with that and suggested we don't do business on layaway.
Move approval on the recommendation.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Our last item is item in regards to RFQ 2014-160. This is request for qualifications for appraisal services for the Transportation Department. We are seeking approval to conduct negotiations with the 10 vendors as shown in your court communique on a rotation basis based on ranking when that work is needed to be completed.
Move for approval.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we got some. Commissioner Johnson. Looks like
Yes,
you've got
I have three interlocal agreements, one with Eagle Mountain, Saginaw Independent School District, one for the city of Saginaw, and one for the city of Sampson Park. It would be 9L1A through F. Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Any appointments? There being none, then you have before you the claims, including the addendum.
Move approval of the claims, including the addendum.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the claims, including the addendum. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Briefing items, Mr. Manius? Is that a call from the man behind the curtain?
Thank you, Your Honor. We have two items that we'd like to present to the court today. The first one concerns the 2006 Transportation Bond Program. This is an update from the Transportation Department
Somebody got an extra one of these things, or we, oh, we got all we needed. Fickus is holding on to it now.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Good morning, Randy.
No, this is, oh my goodness. Go ahead. We're just talking among ourselves.
Not a problem. Thank you for the opportunity to let me update you on the status of the 2006 Transportation Bond Program. There are a total of 96 projects in our program at this point. So with that many projects, I'm going to move through my presentation rather quickly, but certainly if you have any questions about any particular project, let me know. I'll be able to answer them, hopefully. Out of the 96 projects that are in our program, 51 of them are complete. You've seen quite a few of these projects in previous presentations, as this list is cumulative. The projects that you see with the asterisk are the ones that are funded with Commissioner discretionary funds. A lot of these are intersection improvements, so they tend to go much quicker to construction. The projects that are new on the list include well, in this case, you see the SH-114 turnaround bridge. That project just recently completed. And the West Broad widening in Mansfield is also one that just recently completed, and that's actually tying in with the whole corridor of Broad Street, which includes East Broad as well. So it's a very active part of our county, and so that capacity improvement is certainly I'm sure they very much appreciate that. And then these are the remainder of the projects that are funded through Commissioner discretionary funds. And so when you take into account all of the completed projects, we're looking at a bond investment of over $75 million. Certainly from time to time, there are projects that are withdrawn from our program. You've seen several of these, but the two that are new to this list from my last presentation would be the Martin at Cheeksburger intersection improvement in Colleyville and the Grapevine Highway at Harwood intersection in North Richland Hills. So there's quite a few projects that are complete, but we still have a lot that are ongoing. And there are actually 34 projects that are under agreement right now and moving forward in some capacity. Again, a lot of these are the intersection improvements. I will point out the Lamar widening in Arlington is well underway. In fact, I think that's probably about halfway through construction at this point. Let me just point out this one particular project, the US 287 frontages and the turnaround bridges in Mansfield. I'm still showing that as a project that's under agreement. Technically, it's complete. It's open to traffic, but it is a TxDOT-let project, so until we get notification from TxDOT that they've closed it out, I'm leaving it in this particular category. But I anticipate getting that notification within the next month. There's the East Broad widening I mentioned earlier, and that's nearing completion. Lynn Creek Parkway in Grand Prairie is another project that is complete and open to traffic. I'm just simply waiting for the city to close the project out on their end. I anticipate getting that notice within the next month. So that's another project that will be able to move to the completed category. Let's see, make sure. And then the Harley realignment project is another project, too, that is completed and open to traffic. Again, we're just waiting for the city to provide us with notification that it's gone through their closeout process. I think we probably would hear something within the next month on that project. And the Backage Road project in Haltom City is well underway, and it's interesting because when you take a look at the McLean project that's being improved along with the Backage Road, that entire area of Haltom City is going through a transformation right now, and it's going to be good for them. So there really doesn't leave very many projects that are waiting in the wings. There's only just 5 of them, actually. The Debbie Lane project in Mansfield, I've already sent to them the agreement, so we should be able to get that moving here pretty soon. And then the Tex Rail project, which is the big investment in this category, Hearing some good news from them. It's my understanding that they've received a record of decision from the FTA. Basically means their environmental impact statement's been approved, and they can now proceed to construction. But what we'd like to do is I'm working with the officials to set up a time in the next few weeks for them to come and provide the court with a more in-depth status update on that, on the Tex Rail project. And so overall, we have, when you take into account all of those categories, we have a total program funds of over $164 million. And you add to that the $18.8 million in bond discretionary funds that have not been programmed to a project yet. That brings us to $183.4 million plus, which essentially leaves us with $16.5 million in estimated excess funds to date. A lot of those funds have already been reallocated to your discretionary accounts. Moving forward, though, in fiscal year 2015, we're showing an additional $3.7 million in excess funds, and that translates to the $741,684, which will be added to each one of your discretionary accounts moving into fiscal year 2015.
Randy, did you say that some of the $16 million is in the $18 million?
No, the $18 million are the discretionary funds that the court has not programmed to a project as of yet.
Okay. So what's the $16 million below
The $16.5 million are the excess funds that we've realized to date. So basically, you're taking your $200 million and subtracting the total available.
So is that $16 million, if it's not assigned to projects, is that likewise going to be allocated back to the court members?
Yes. In fact, a lot of that has been already.
So really, the funds of the remaining available discretionary funds is going to be a total of about $35 million, plus the $3 million, so it's going to be about...
You're adding the $3.7 million, correct?
Yeah, so it's going to be about 39.
Yeah, and the $18.8 million was simply part of the original allocation. But yes, you're right, there will be the additional funds as well. I always want to keep you apprised of any projects that are delaying as far as their project schedules are concerned. There are 16 projects that are delaying to some extent. Some of these delays are no more than a couple of months. But we do have 6 projects that are delaying by at least 1 year. But I would point out that what you're seeing here, these numbers are far less than what we've talked about in the past. And part of that is because the cities now are in a financial position to be able to move their projects forward. But also, I think it's also the result of us communicating to the cities, we need to get your projects moving forward. It's something that we're in, I guess, the 8th year of our program. So we definitely want to see those projects happening. And so I think you're seeing fewer projects in these categories. The other thing I'd point out is just because you're seeing projects delayed here does not mean that there isn't some activity occurring. Whether it's design or right-of-way acquisition, there's going to be some activity that's happening on these projects. And I always want to leave you with some images of some of the projects. The Bowman Springs, I really like this particular one in particular because of the Bowman Springs Bridge was funded through county bond funds. This particular project in Arlington, extending from Interstate 20 down to the bridge, was funded through county bond funds. The section of Bowman Springs in Kennedale, from the bridge over to Dick Price, was also funded with county bond funds. And this is exactly the kind of project that the court wanted to see with regard to this particular program, linking 2 communities and tying in with an interstate system.
Without the bond money, this project would never happen.
And we've had those conversations with I've heard that a lot from the cities, that we just simply would not have been able to get these projects moving. The other aspect of our program is we wanted to see increased capacity in highly congested areas. And we all know that Saginaw is certainly growing significantly over the past several years. And we were able to add, through a partnership with Saginaw, the additional lanes on Bailey Boswell where they're very much needed. The other aspect of our program has to do with air quality. We wanted to see some intersection improvements that would help us in that regard. We know that in peak periods, especially in intersections that are signed or we have signalization, you can have traffic queuing up quite a bit. And with the queuing comes idling. With the idling, it's not healthy for us with regard to air quality. And so we're seeing more communities wanting to build the roundabouts. In this particular case, this is one in Colleyville. And we're getting a lot of positive feedback from the cities with regard to those. And then the final image I'll show you has to do with the East Rosedale project in Precinct 1, a very significant project. This photo doesn't really do it justice, but perhaps you can get some kind of an idea of the scope of the project that's going to include safety elements around the university as well as intersection improvements. Again, two other aspects of the program that the court wanted to see in these projects. And so I will just leave you with the fact that at this point we have expended almost exactly at the $100 million mark in our program of the $200 million. And with that, we've been able to see quite a few excellent projects completed. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Good job.
Good job.
Good job. Thanks, Randy.
Thank you.
Members of the court, we could go to the second item, and it's going to take just a second to bring that PowerPoint up. This is going to be an update from the Public Health Department. Mr. Chineja is going to address the court at this time.
Good morning.
Good morning, Judge and members of the court. Again, for the court record, I'm Vinny Taneja, Public Health Director, and today I'm going to give you some important public health updates. Since the last update happened, there's a lot that has changed in the public health world. As you may be following in the news, there has been a case of Ebola diagnosed here in the United States, and it's in Dallas County, which is very close to us. There's also been activity related to West Nile virus. There's also another viral disease called enterovirus D68 that has been making the news and has recently landed in Texas as well. And also, it is flu season, so we didn't want you all to forget about that, because with all the news, the focus is drawn to Ebola and enterovirus D68, which are sort of newsy items, new diseases to the United States. But flu kills about 30 to 35,000 people every year, so we wanted to make sure that that stays on the focus front as well. With that, I'm going to go quickly through some of the information. What is Ebola? It is a viral disease, previously known as the Ebola hemorrhagic fever. First, it was found in 1976 near Ebola River in Congo, which is in Central Africa. And a lot of the previous outbreaks were in Congo or Zaire. They are not as densely populated, and what we've seen now in West Africa, in countries like Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea, they're a heavily populated area where the outbreak has happened and has taken a huge toll on life. A lot of folks have been taken ill, a lot have died. It affects mostly humans and non-human primates like monkeys, gorillas, chimpanzees. Here's a quick map of where the current outbreak is located in the western part of Africa. Also, I just wanted to make sure that we understand what are the signs and symptoms of Ebola. It starts off as a very generalized illness with fever, headache, muscle pain, vomiting, diarrhea. People could confuse it for any other disease. But what really sets it apart is it is a hemorrhagic disorder where there can be unexplained bleeding or bruising under the skin, bloody stool, bloody vomiting, all those kind of things that can happen, and that's usually when it gets really severe. How is it spread? Really, you can't get it through the air, you can't get it through the water, you cannot get it through food, with the exception of being bushmeat, which was a problem in Central Africa. But you can only get Ebola by touching the body fluid or blood of a person who is sick with Ebola or has died from Ebola. So, a dead body, a lot of times there's spiritual rites or funeral rites being conducted, and, people have to handle a dead body, and that's where some of the infections can happen. Or, healthcare workers or close family members taking care of a person who is ill may be exposed to these blood or body fluids from that individual and may get sick as well. Touching contaminated objects like needles, touching infected animals, which here in the United States we wouldn't worry about that. Most of the gorillas and chimpanzees are in the zoo, so I think we should be okay. And for pet lovers, I would say dogs and cats mostly our pets are home, and we're okay with that. They usually are not affected with Ebola. There's been no known cases of that in history. So in the United States, Ebola poses no significant threat. The first case that was ever diagnosed on U.S. soil was on September 30th in Dallas at the Texas Presbyterian Hospital. There was a coordinated effort between local, state, and federal public health agencies to get to that conclusion point. They had a traveler who traveled from Liberia to Dallas eventually, and after several days of being here, became symptomatic and got diagnosed with Ebola. Now, the key thing to remember here is Ebola is very different from many other diseases that we are used to seeing. In this case, a person transmits Ebola only when they develop symptoms. So the important thing to remember is this traveler was not symptomatic when they were on a flight here. They were not symptomatic when they were at the airport. So there's no risk to travelers who traveled along or were at the airport at that time. And that's been made very clear by the CDC. They've vetted this information out, and we're very comfortable with that information because that's how usually Ebola progresses. And the other thing is, people ask, what is Tarrant County doing to prepare since this happened so close by? We're in the big metro area with Dallas. Well, I wanted to assure everybody that we're fully prepared and ready to respond to any situation. As soon as we found out, we've been disseminating public health information about Ebola to the general public through our website and to our media partners. There's a very nice, easy to understand bulletin of information, frequently asked questions about Ebola on the website. We're also actively reaching out to our partners in the hospital systems, first responders, fire, EMS, local emergency management. A lot of that has been coordinated through our county emergency management. Our elected officials have been very helpful, so thank you all for helping us out on that. We've reached out to charity organizations. Yesterday we spoke with the Mayor's Council, so we're trying to make sure that everybody in Tarrant County is on the same page with us, understanding where our preparedness efforts are and how well we're positioned to respond to any eventualities. We're having regular meetings with our staff internally. We're attending calls with the state and with the feds. The CDC occasionally will have a call of information coming out with new guidance, and they usually release that to the state and local health departments before it goes on the website. So we've been attending all of those and sharing information as it comes out. With that, that's the information on Ebola. But I also wanted to quickly touch base on the other diseases that have been happening. West Nile virus still is circulating in our community. We're hoping that the cooler season will bring an end to this current season. But so far we've had 11 cases of human disease of West Nile in Tarrant County this year. We've tested about almost 4,000 mosquito pools, and out of that 275 mosquito pools have tested positive. So some of the reminders that I would like to use this opportunity for folks. Yesterday and a couple of days ago we had a lot of rain come our way, which is good. But that also brings the opportunity for mosquitoes to breed, especially in bird baths and feeders that haven't been cleaned out, old tires that may be sitting around, or there may be low spots in backyards and things that need to be filled in with dirt, because if water accumulates, that's breeding ground for mosquitoes. Also, people like to get out and be in the garden, be out in the evenings. So make sure that folks are protected. We wear long sleeves and use repellents. Most of these diseases that we're talking about today, really there's no magic pill to cure it. Protection is the best measure, and using common sense and protection would really go a long way in reducing human disease. Another one that we're looking at is enterovirus. This is a respiratory disease that's been around since 1962, I believe. This year we've had a very unusual year with this illness circulating. As you can see on the map, almost the entire country now has cases of this virus causing respiratory illness. And what has been really striking about this is that it has caused severe breathing problems in young children and teenagers to the point of where they've been hospitalized. There have been a few deaths reported. Now there's a cluster of cases in North Texas. About 10 cases were diagnosed, I think, about a week or 10 days ago in northern Texas area. We have not received any reports in Tarrant County so far, but I'm sure this is a virus that's circulating that we'll find pretty soon. One of the things that has come to light that is sort of unusual about this virus, there's a cluster of cases in Colorado that were, children had paralysis-like symptoms, which is not usually tied to this virus. And CDC is not sure at this point if it was just a coincidental finding or is it really being caused by this virus. And there was a media report of a investigation being done on a child that had paralysis-like symptoms and was admitted in Dallas as well. And they were suspecting enterovirus D68. So we're keeping a close watch on that, informing the public about this disease as well. And some of the key messages on how to protect yourself, they apply to the flu, they apply to this particular respiratory virus as well. Washing your hands often throughout the day with warm water and soap. Avoid close contact with sick individuals, covering your cough and sneeze, cleaning and disinfecting surfaces, and staying home when you're sick. Now, it's easier said than done, but, we really need to try and practice that, especially with our kids. If they're sick, make sure they don't go to school, they don't go to daycare. We stay home with them and make sure that disease doesn't spread. And that's really key in enterovirus and a lot of other respiratory illnesses and diarrheal illnesses that we find, and they circulate throughout the year. Now, getting on to the last slide here, like I mentioned earlier, let's not forget the flu season is upon us. So the best protection against the flu of doing those things like hand washing and protecting yourself when you're around sick folks or not sharing your disease with others, best thing you can do is get immunized. A lot of places, like you mentioned earlier, have vaccine available. And people are encouraged to go get their flu shots early in the season. That way you're not exposed to the disease and are not likely to get sick. And again, practicing good hand hygiene and good general hygiene in this case would really go a long way. And I wanted to share quickly why I put that picture on, the virus itself. This is a very color-coded diagram with the two blue and red, things sticking out of the virus shell. And people ask me all the time, what's this H1N1, H5N1? All the time we keep changing these numbers. And these are these surface proteins that are expressed differently on the virus as it goes through mutations, and that's the numbering that we give it. And based on that, a lot of times the vaccine has to be changed, and that's why it's very important to take the vaccine every year. It's not a one shot and you got immunity for your whole life, because the virus keeps changing how it presents these proteins on the surface, and that's very important how we attack it through the vaccine. So that's all.
Questions? Vinny, thank you.
My only question would be, when is the vaccine going to be available to county employees?
Yes, sir. We're actually still awaiting our shipment from the manufacturer. They've had some unusual delays in shipping the vaccine to, from what I understand, all public health departments. There may be some that have received their shipment, sooner than us, but we're in very close contact. The last I had heard, we were supposed to receive it by the end of last month on the 30th. It is not still there. So we're talking to them on a regular basis and trying to get it here really quick. But it is available in the community. A lot of private businesses have it, so we encourage folks to go get it.
Thank you, Vinny.
Your Honor, that's all we have at this time.
Okay, we have two audience participation forms. First is Donna West. Donna, please come forward. And please state your address for the record so that we can have a record of that.
Hello. I'm here to address.
Please state your address for the record so that they have a record of that.
Yes, P.O. Box 330274, Fort Worth, Texas 76163. I'm here to address. How long do I have to talk?
Well, we historically have not had time limits. I would ask that you keep it somewhere around the 3 to 5 minutes.
I can do that. I'm going to sum up 3 years of my personal observation of what's going on in the court system here. In 2000, let me back up. June 2008, Tiffany McAdoo, my daughter, purchased or obtained property from Arlene Southard, who resides in Nevada. 90 days after obtaining the property, Catherine Buchanan became the guardian. Tiffany was prosecuted and accused of theft from the elderly and false statement to obtain property. We obtained a forensic handwriting expert and other witnesses who were never contacted. We went through the court system of Judge David Scott Wish for 18 months. I was at every court hearing, at every trial. When she met with Jim Shaw, her attorney, I was there. And finally, on July 16th, 2012, there was a motion plea hearing. Tiffany walks into the courtroom. She explained to the judge that Mr. Shaw was inadequate and that he wasn't familiar with her case. Mr. Shaw had filed a motion to withdraw, saying that he had not adequately prepared for the trial. Judge Wish forces the hearing anyway. He tells Tiffany that she's going to have the attorney that she didn't want, and he tells her also that she's not cooperating with her attorney. She says it's not fair to make me go to trial when he doesn't know my case. And all of this is documented, and I have copies for you all of the transcripts here. Judge Wish tells her to shut up, and he says, if you say another word, I'm going to go off your bond. Then he asks her a question. When she answers, he goes off her bond. He arrests her right there. Mr. Shaw initially filed a motion to quash. He said because the DA didn't have anything. Then finally, we find out that he had filed the motion to quash under the wrong case numbers. He didn't go back and correct that. He came back and asked her for $10,000 aside from the money that she had already paid him. When she failed to pay him, he threw her under the bus on July 16, 2012. He cursed her out in open court, and I have an audio you all can listen to at your own convenience. He's explaining why he cursed her out. And then David Loblinger said he wanted her to serve 20 years in prison. Well, she said, for the court's record, I'm being forced to sign these pleas. Judge Wish told Karen Smith, the reporter, to strike it from the record. I'm sitting there, I'm listening to this. In the course of him telling her, Judge Wish telling Tiffany that she's going to keep the attorney that she didn't want, he began to tell a story about the Delta flight. He said that Jim Shaw's sister was in the Delta flight crash. She had been injured, and that Jim and his wife invited her into their home. Jim's wife nursed her into health and let her go. And he also said Jim's a good guy. You know, I've been knowing him almost 30 years, so he began just to share his camaraderie, which was excluded from the transcript as well. So Tiffany was under stress, duress, just the whole 9 yards. There was no relief for her. She couldn't speak for herself. He told her to shut up. Her attorney had cursed her out. The DA wanted 20 years on a false indictment. Well, I was able to obtain the original guardianship papers. I ordered them from the district county, thank you, in Nevada, and found out that the guardian didn't come into play until September 23rd, 2008, which was 90 days after the transaction. Nevertheless, they go forward. So Tiffany signs all of the documents under duress, with the words under duress beneath her name because she couldn't be heard. David Loblinger signs it. Later on, he denies it. He said he wasn't there. But his signature is on the plea papers with his bar number. He blames it on Mr. O'Toole. Judge Wish, he signs also the documents that she signed under duress. And he blames Judge Gallagher. He also blames Amanda Preston for failing to see this. So they filed this in the courts. The property was worth maybe $15,000. She paid $5,000 in taxes. She put title insurance on it from Commonwealth. Nobody filed anything about fraud on the Commonwealth title. Then Judge Wish ordered her to pay restitution of $40,000, $800 a month. She couldn't do it. So, you know what? She ended up he ended up revoking her probation. So she's been in Tarrant County Jail since September 21st, 2013. Since she's been in jail, she has been in lockdown for 32 days because she was pouring ice out of a pitcher into her cup, and she was told by Officer Harris that there was a contraband because she changed the structure of the ice when she poured it into the cup. So they put her in an 8x5 for 32 days. We started protesting. So that's why we're out in front of the jail, in front of the court, protesting. Judge Wish has cursed her out. It's in the transcript. He's using profanity. He's intimidating. He's doing all kinds of stuff on the bench. I have personally sat and observed him. I've seen him scream and yell at people and have one lady run through the courtroom. I mean, I think everything is just really out of control in the courts here. And so with all of that being said, I had also tried to get someone to get my daughter to a hospital because she has a tumor. And her hemoglobin is failing. And what that causes is a lack of oxygen in your body. You get brain fog, you're weak, you can have a heart attack. I'm not a doctor, but I'm a victim. I've had 8 blood transfusions. I've had the heart attacks. I know what she's going through. So finally, I got a hold of somebody at the city council. And as of yesterday, she was taken to John Peter Smith Hospital. This should never be. This should never be. And I'm concerned, not just for my Tiffany, but for the Tiffany's in this county and around the country. Something is wrong with your system here. And no one seems to have checks and balances in place. And for me as a human being and as a citizen to go in and sit and observe all of this, I'm appalled. I'm insulted. I really, really think that somebody's dropped the ball here. And so with that being said, we had a writ of habeas corpus hearing. Tiffany's attorney, Kevin Brooks, filed a recusal on Judge Wish, saying that he was a material witness to her signing these papers under duress. Judge Wish refused to get off the case. He went to Judge Evans. He basically ordered the writ of habeas corpus with the cursing, with everything in there, and he says, he's okay, let him have the case. So he's back on the case. April 30th was the initial hearing for the habeas corpus, and then August 7th, they reconvened. But on April 30th, Judge Wish said that he looked at the Paul Harvey story, and he's not going to approve her writ of habeas corpus, giving her a new trial, because they would expose the fraud in actuality. So he's been holding her indefinitely, no bond, no nothing. We've tried twice to get a bond. He won't give her one. He hasn't made a decision. He was supposed to do it right after August 7th. We are in October. This is October 7th, and she is still sitting. They let her out of lockdown and placed her back into general population. She asked for a single cell because of her medical condition, and she was told she didn't have a medical condition and that she was refusing housing, so she's back in the hole again. So we're out protesting, and I really honestly think, I know that Judge Wish needs to be removed.
You understand? I'm sorry.
I'm almost done.
Yeah, you're 10 minutes, but go ahead.
Okay. I've also done some research and found the racial disparities in this court as well. And I have a few in there you all can begin to, if you choose to, look at. I think that, you know, some investigative measures need to be taken into Judge Wish's court. And some, even if you all send some type of operative in there every once in a while, not just in his court, but all the courts, you got to know what's going on in these courts. I mean, we're paying tax dollars, and this is what's going on. And then let's talk about the jail. Give me just 1 second. Talk about the jail. You walk into the jail, and you're mistreated as though you're a criminal. I've never been in trouble. So when I walk in there, I expect to be treated cordially. When I go into your restroom, I see a silver cold toilet. This is a public toilet, but it's not in here. With concrete wall dividers, no privacy. This is for your visitors. This is what we're paying for. We're treated like criminals when we go into your jails. It shouldn't be that way. And then when we walk into the courtrooms, we're mad dogged by the bailiffs. And I know everybody's around the judge trying to protect him and all, but the man needs to get down. Something is wrong with him. I have these packages for you all. If you all want to look at them, I don't know who to give them to.
If you'll give them to Mr. Manius right there. Ms. West, let me just, as a general comment, say, because this is not on the agenda, law requires that we cannot address, we can't respond back to what you've just said.
I understand.
So what we will do is we'll ask that you communicate or that you talk with Mr. Manius. He'll pass that information on to us. And then y'all can talk a little bit about what maybe the next steps would be and where we go from here from that particular perspective.
Okay, I'd like to say one other thing. I tried to meet with the warden of the jail. I know that you all don't use the word warden, but he refused to see me. Instead, he sent someone else in his place. You know, there is no law that says that water or ice is a contraband. And there is nothing in the inmate's handbook that says water or ice is a contraband. And I asked the man, I said, if Jesus was in Tarrant County, he'd be incarcerated for turning water into wine, wouldn't he?
Thank you, Ms. West. Ms. Dawkins. If you would please give your name and address.
My name is Talharisha Dawkins. Address P.O. Box 330274, Fort Worth, Texas 76163.
Thank you.
And I'll only speak briefly to draw your attention to what's going on in the Tarrant County jails. I believe that abuses are continuing because no one is saying anything. And I thought it was interesting to be here today and to hear about all the retirees and the great job security that everyone is enjoying. And I believe that they are enjoying it on the backs of the people who are being oppressed. And I say that they are being oppressed. There may not be anything overt that you all may notice or have heard of, but in the small things that Ms. West just described, violations of rights and due process and striking of things from the record, the judges rule with absolute power, and the people are looked at as though they are liars or grumblers or complainers. And, excuse me, I'm a little hoarse. But we are viewed as though we are making much out of nothing, and we are supposed to simply tolerate whatever the system has designed for us. And since we have been out at Tarrant County Jail, many people have stopped to talk with us. They're not complaining, they're not protesting. Many of them are afraid to. But I just wanted to, thank you. I just wanted to bring to your attention some of the things that they have said to us. And some of them have stood on the corners crying about things that are happening to their loved ones. One lady stopped and said she was a former prison guard and said that there are women in the jails being raped. But nobody says anything, so nothing is done. We personally know someone who was beat to death in Tarrant County several years ago. And, you know, his family didn't do anything about it because, like I said, many people are afraid. What I want to say is that I know that you all have a system that you believe in and that you think has checks and balances, but the checks and balances are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. It's fine to have things in place and to look at the big picture and say, hey, we've got a pretty good system, but if it were you caught in the system, you'd want something a little better. And I think that you should look at what's not there instead of looking at what's there. And there are some things there that are compelling. They are working together to pull us toward a very certain place, and it may not be the place that you think. And I say that to say that some things that are missing are some independent monitoring, some welcoming of advocacy groups, some some streamlined process in which the inmates could file legitimate complaints without being harassed after they've done it? I mean, do they have any way of getting to you all? Do they have a complaint process in which they could communicate with the Commissioner's Court? Who's monitoring the judges? Who's monitoring the courts? Why is the system checking itself and people are not there to provide checks and balances? And I just believe that, you know, it's okay to preside and to have a title and retirement and job security, but when it is at the expense of people who, as Mary Hendricks called, spooks, I believe that we need to check ourselves. You need to check your own heart. For many, I know that it's just a job, and they give you things to do. They give you a job description, and you come in every day and you do it. But at the same time, there is a God. Whether you believe in Him or not, the heavens and the earth were not created by man. And so there is a higher power that we all individually have to answer to. And so when you lay your head down at night to sleep, you should consider whether or not you have done all that you can to exercise the will of God and not your own will and not the will of the system. And you should see whether or not you have done all you can to put in place the checks and balances upon your own position, upon the position of your beloved co-workers, upon the positions of the prison guards, the police department, and the judges. And when you lay your head down at night, realizing that you have not done all that you can to correct what is happening to people because maybe you think they deserve it, or maybe you think they're criminals, or maybe you think they're spooks, or whatever it is that we call them, when you realize you haven't done all you can, maybe somewhere in your heart you will consider that God is judge of us all, and we will all stand before Him, and that we will give an account for what we have not done in behalf of those that we think are not worthy. And so I just stand here just to say that there are things going on in the system, things that I have not mentioned, outlandish sentences being given for very minor crimes, and attorneys stealing money, no regulations on the attorney. You can file with the bar, and they'll just say, oh, we looked at it, nothing's wrong. You know, if you really care, if you really are humane, and if you really love the Tarrant County system, then we would all work to provide some independent monitoring, some independent reporting or filing of reports in which you know, you all are able to do your job and can review what's really going on a human level, not on a managerial level, supervisory level, executive level, but what's going on the ground. And everybody's not lying to you, and everybody's not bringing a sob story, and everybody's not claiming to be innocent. But everybody is saying that if you say that this system is just and that it delivers justice, then at the very least, can we be treated humanely? And I think that the person or the being who determines whether or not we deserve that is God, and not us determining whether or not we deserve it for each other, because truth being told, and I'm ending, we have all sinned, and just because your sins are covered doesn't make you right and doesn't justify you executing justice in an illegal, unlawful, and abusive way. And so I hope that this court will demonstrate power, not by being the Commissioner's Court, but power in the sense of having the will to take some steps and put them in place so that we have the proper checks and balances, so that people are not being abused, and so that people's human rights, civil rights are not being violated. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your time and for your comments.
Thank you to both you ladies for bringing these allegations to our attention. I would urge that they be taken seriously, and that somebody get back with us and let us know what's going on.
There being no further business, then we'll recess our open meeting and proceed to close to discuss items exempted under sections 551.071, 072, 074, 076, and 087 of the Texas Government Code. from our closed session and there being no business to conduct at this time, we